great Bobby Belt?
Bobby Belt is an idiot.
Don't make me take off my belt.
Don't make me take off my belt.
We're not. Over to you, Bobby.
Who all was Micah Parsons talking about when he said he was playing for guys that he doesn't think are going to be here next year or their time's potentially running out? Let's try and identify some of the people that he may have been referencing, people whose fates have already been sealed.
Did he announce Zack Martin's retirement, basically?
He sort of did.
Yeah, he did.
Which is, McCarthy did the same thing to Tyrone Crawford a few years ago. That was that was a little unfortunate, where off-season press conference McCarthy went, well, and Tyrone Crawford's going to retire. He's like, oh, wait, sorry, he didn't announce that yet? Whoops, well, he's leaving. So, but let's figure out who's going. Because I think, honestly, even if Zack Martin didn't retire, which I think is the likeliest path right now, I don't think the Cowboys would bring him back. I think he'd be done, and this would be it. This is Below the Belt, presented by A #1 Era, a little bit later edition of it. Over at ESPN, Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler did their weekly ping-pong back-and-forth article where they talk about different rumors they're hearing around the league or analyze different issues. And the lead topic was Mike McCarthy's future. And, of course, they're saying it's bleak, it's not very good, he's obviously not looking like he's going to be retained. I could have told you that.
What insight.
All the way back in the summer. But the broader topics here in regards to veterans were a little bit interesting. He talked about, Dan Graziano did, that he believes there are three that are probably entering their final days in Dallas. Zack Martin is one, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Brandon Cooks. Graziano notes the line that Choppy's been spewing to us in recent weeks.
Spewing?
He said, you know what I'm saying, like repeating. Graziano said they don't like to rebuild in Dallas, but the Cowboys are in line for a significant retooling, if nothing else. And I think that's what they're grappling with. Is Choppy's right. They don't want to walk away from star players. They don't want to do full-fledged tear-down rebuilds. It's that Mark Cuban syndrome post-Dirk, where he didn't ever want to really tear it down. He wanted to try and keep it afloat as best as he could. Cowboys are in the same boat, but they've got to change. They're going to have to change a lot of things, just given their finances and other things. So let's take a look at some of these players who could be ending their time in Dallas. I think Graziano's nailed it. Those three right there, those are free agents at the end of the year. Zack Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Brandon Cooks. They're done.
Fine.
I don't think any of those guys are coming back. Let's take a look at a couple guys who are free agents, who are impending free agents that you might have an issue with. Younger guys on the defensive line that have had some successes here. Osa Odigizua and Chauncey Golston.
Well, after your last post-Hut clarity, you're making me think that they should be kept.
You know, and we had talked about this on Love the Star. Brian had said Chauncey Golston he's nervous about Chauncey Golston. Or not nervous, he's dreading what this offseason will bring for Chauncey Golston. Because he said, you watch Golston play right now, and he's playing so well as just a legitimate starting NFL defensive lineman, that it's frustrating to feel like you developed this guy to have him go to some other team this offseason.
Why does this team get shredded in run defense if we keep bringing up these type of tackles that are good here?
Well, so Golston has finally been able to play the edge more consistently. They Tyrone Crawford him for a while, where they were bouncing him inside, outside, and he was never able to just stay at a position and grow. He's been able to stay at edge, and he's finally kind of clicking into place. But I mean, you could have all three of those guys doing their jobs. If Mozzie Smith is getting blown off the ball, that's the only gap they need to get up to the second level and destroy things. So, I mean, two of your four guys playing pretty well on the defensive line is not going to be enough to slow things down in the run games most of the time. But Osa Odigizua he's not like a great run defender, but he's been generating a lot of pressure. He's taken up double teams, freed stuff up for other guys. Osa's finally kind of clicking into place. I thought he had a disappointing first 4 to 6 weeks of the season, but he's clicking into place.
62.2 PFF grade.
Well, not bad.
So
not terrible, not bad.
If I told you bringing those guys back is 3 years and between 18 and 21 million, 6 to 7 million annually
for each
one of them. Are you wanting to keep one over the other? Or do you say I can find an Osa or a Golston somewhere else?
I can find them. The more people that leave, I think the happier I'll be.
You just to tear it down,
purge.
At some point, like if you're gonna have,
but let me say this also. This is where I got to listen to Bobby and Broadus and those that do the work. I'm not watching. It does say something. I never noticed them, and their names are rarely ever brought up during the games when watching and listening. But that's really the help of the scout's eye and the film review to look at guys like that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, the issue you got to look at is,
I haven't noticed Chauncey Golston one time this whole year while watching a game.
Yeah, and that, like you said, he could be playing well, but you may also look at it and say, you can play well, that's fine. I don't want to spend $7 million on somebody that's not going to play well enough that they splash for me.
Yeah, or that on a defense that gets historically shredded.
Sure, yeah. No worries, Chop.
So the problem you're going to run into is that you are going to sign Micah, and that is $125 million on 3 guys. And if the cap is 265, that means you've got quick math search here is 140 million on 50 players. I mean, you can't give them all 3. I mean, I guess you could give them all 3 million, but you don't want to.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, Osa and Golston are not going to be as cheap as $3-4 million. They will be probably closer to what Dorrance Armstrong got, which was around $7 million a year. That's probably closer to what you're looking at. You draft somebody and say, I'm going to go try. Nealon's one guy that I think they felt like Nealon was on the way to having a good season, I thought, before he got hurt. Similar to the way that Golston's played, where it's not splashy, but you see consistent play. So maybe just say, hey, no, we got to bank on Nealon being Golston at, 1/10 of the cost of what Golston may cost for you. So those are 2 guys that you're probably going to, I think they're more likely at this point to bring back Osa, I would guess, out of those 2 is who I would think they'd be more likely to bring back. Trey Lance and Ezekiel Elliott, in all likelihood, obviously done. The bigger question would be...
Wait, if they bring back Zeke?
They won't.
Oh, God. Hang on. We thought they wouldn't bring him back 2 years ago when he left.
That's true.
Does his contract expire?
His contract is expired after this season.
How much do they owe on it next year? Because knowing this team, they probably owe him $6 million.
Yeah, I mean, that's like he's getting a $2 million salary, and yet he's counting $8 million against their cap this year. So, in fact, I think we've mentioned this before, but it's still insane to me to look. Ezekiel Elliott, who will be remembered, I think, in the past as just... for a very short window, one of the most dynamic running backs in the NFL and a big superstar playmaker, that it was kind of a supernova. It burst and went away. But if you look at a 9-year career for Ezekiel Elliott, every single year, I don't know that there's another player like this, from year 1 to year 9, his rushing yards per game has declined every single year for 9 years. Every single time. Which feels...
Year or game?
Rushing yards per game. So his rushing yards per game as a rookie was 108, then it was 98, 95, 84, 65, 58.9, 58.4, 37, and 21. He has declined every single year for 9 years, which feels impossible.
At least he's not under 20.
There is that. He's pushing that 21 yards per game, making a big difference right there. Now, Lance, is there any part of you, if they say, if Lance is willing to come back here on a $2 million deal to sit here and continue to develop or potentially hold on to that lotto ticket, are you okay bringing Lance back on that amount?
Fine.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I mean, it's a position of high importance and high value, and if you can find a way to hit, great.
I do wonder if Cooper Rush, the way that he played, and if he continues, that might be the end of anybody feeling like, oh, he's our stable option, which has happened once before. A lot of people forget he was gone for the first year of McCarthy. They cut him, and he went to the Giants, and that's why they were left with, okay, Dalton and then Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci when they were, rotating everybody in there. Okay, so you've got 5 names here left that are real options of just, you've got a decision to make on them, and I think there are going to be potential decisions here. Let's talk about the draft picks. Luke Schoonmaker and Mozzie Smith. Do you feel like there's no coming back for them at this point?
Well, Mozzie, that's done. Schoon, I'm trying to give a bet. We don't even talk about him.
No.
We don't even talk about that.
No, we've forgotten about him.
How much am I writing off? What percentage am I writing off to injury / availability? How healthy has he been this whole year?
So he's been banged up at different points, especially during training camp. But to me, it's the issue here with Luke Schoonmaker is the fact that even when he's been out there and he's been healthy, like last year, he was dropping balls. He didn't look dynamic. He was not the run blocker that you were.
You liked him.
Yeah, I did. That's been a big miss so far. I don't feel like he's coming back from it. I feel like at this point, I'm ready to say he's probably a bust. He's not a second-round player.
But you feel more certain that Mozzie's a bust.
I don't know, because I've actually seen more flashes, like I've seen Mozzie play well in a game. I haven't really seen that from Schoonmaker yet. Yeah. And so to me, I kind of wonder are we looking at a situation where...
But is Ferg, my guy, is Ferg still good enough in your mind to just dismiss Schoon?
I don't know that the two have necessarily anything to do with each other. Like I think you can make the case that Schoon is a bust regardless.
No, but I'm saying like just completely not give him a chance and keep him benched versus like opportunity. Some of it is opportunity. Is Jake Ferguson that good in our minds now that it should just be his position 95% of the time? This year, 8 games, 42 catches, 358 yards, no touchdowns for Ferguson. I've been a little disappointed with Ferguson's season.
I have too. The over 4.5 touchdowns I thought was a given.
For being this team's second weapon?
Yeah.
Clear second.
How many snaps do you think Luke Schoonmaker has played this year?
How many?
Since I'm sure you probably don't even remember a single play he's been involved in.
Schoonmaker?
Yeah.
How many snaps?
Yep.
250.
Oh, no.
146. He's played 25% of the team's snaps. He's in there 1 out of every 4 plays.
Wow.
On offense.
Wow.
And it doesn't feel like it. And so now I will say this. If you want to talk about one area where say, hey, let's give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, tight ends historically do take a while to develop. Dalton Schultz, Luke Schoonmaker through 2 years or through a year and a half.
Not with this quarterback. This quarterback makes tight ends.
No, not with the current tight ends. I will challenge that.
Kyle Pitts didn't click till just now. Vernon Davis historically didn't click the same sort of way. A lot of the tight ends
That's
don't.
how far back you have
I'm
to
just
go.
saying, like, you can go back.
Bowers is killing.
Bowers
the
is
kid
great.
in Arizona is killing. I just had another name on the top of my head. Hawkinson didn't take a long time.
Kincaid, who's the
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Let's look at just and Bowers has been great.
Thank you for that, by the way. You gave me that fantasy tip.
Yes.
Oh, Laporta.
Yeah, so if you look
he's gone downhill this year.
Yeah, but he balled out last
for sure.
season.
If you look at Dalton Schultz's first 2 years in the league, first 2 full years, Luke Schoonmaker already has more receptions in a year and a half than Schultz did his first 2 years. Like, Schultz took a long time to develop. Jarwin didn't get on the field for the first 2 years. Martellus Bennett was a guy who didn't click for a lot of people here in Dallas. Scott Chandler they had in the building. He didn't click until years later. They've been really slow developing tight ends here in Dallas. So that's one of the questions there. So those are 2 draft picks. Really quickly, couple guys that are veterans that you have questions on. Donovan Wilson, I think he's out. Donovan Wilson, a pre-June 1 cut saves you $5 million.
Bye.
And post-June 1 is $7. Is Terrence Steele somebody you've just decided we need to clean ourselves of that? If you post-June 1 Terrence Steele, you save $14 million.
Whoa!
Do you say Guyton go to right tackle? Let's see what Awesome Richards can do at left.
Haven't we seen enough of Awesome Richards?
Awesome Richards was good against Philly.
Well, how many years has Awesome Richards been here?
2, I think.
That's it?
Yeah, 2 years.
Okay. What's his background? Pedigree?
He was
Pretty awesome background.
North Carolina. He was a guy who was a 5th round pick, was guard tackle flexibility, but has really finally committed to tackle.
Steele's 27, 14 million saved. What do you got to tell us? That this is your man crush.
How much has Mike Solari potentially stunted his development? Is my question. Like that's the question you got to know. Is that has it been damaged irreparably? Can somebody come in here and fix some of that development? That's the biggest question. So that I don't have the answer to if they can repair some of that. And then the other safety back there, you don't have a lot of great safety options, but Malik Hooker can save you $4 million if you cut him pre-June.
I don't think I've remembered one play that Hooker has made this year. Positive.
Let's see. He was really slowed on the sideline, and he got caught.
A positive.
Oh, that's not. Well, that's not positive.
All I care about is this: getting rid of all these guys. And yes, you do have to replace them. It's easy just to cut. How much money am I saving getting rid of everyone? So that's what I roughly want to know.
Yeah, the vast majority of those guys are free agents. If you were to let go of Wilson and
Tank
Hooker,
Cooks.
Yeah, if you were to let go Wilson, Hooker, and then post June 1 Terrence Steele, for instance, those 3 right there will free up about $25 million for you off the cap. And Schoonmaker, if you were to release him next summer, he would save you 1.3. It would cost you $2.5 million to release Mozzie.